Leader Cathaoirleach, we had a debate in this House on the 39th and 40th proposed amendments to the Irish Constitution. This morning I want to call for a change to the order of business to bring Minister Darragh O'Brien an amendment to the order of business to bring Minister Darragh O'Brien to this House to explain what knowledge the state had before it set the date of March 8th of the case before the Supreme Court, BM and JM versus Ireland and the Attorney General. This is a case of the most systemic importance according to the Supreme Court. They allowed the case to leapfrog the Court of Appeal because of the nature of it. This is a case where a carer, a mother, of an autistic and Down syndrome child has had to go to the courts to secure a carer's allowance for her. The Supreme Court case is scheduled to be heard on the 11th of April. If the referendum passes on the 8th of March, the Supreme Court case falls and that woman will have to seek an alternative route to get justice before the courts in this country. And as we know, Article 42B, the proposed Article 42B, although it's in fundamental human rights section of the Constitution, it offers this woman absolutely nothing, absolutely nothing. There is no legal basis that she can claim her carer's allowance under that article. So I believe the Minister has to come to this House, has to explain what he knew about it, because it appears on the face of it to be the most sinister move by a government to bring in a referendum before a systemic case, a case of huge importance to carers, is adjudicated on by the Supreme Court of this land. It should have been postponed until the Supreme Court case was over. We all know that the guillotine was used to ram through the bills for the 39th and 40th Amendment to the Constitution, and that is not the way to do business. We all know that the language is ambiguous. Constitutional language should be clear and easy for citizens of the state to understand. The language that is in this Constitution, there are so many things in it: tax, property rights, inheritance rights, succession rights. All of these things have to be dealt with. There is no legislation to deal with them. It's no secret I'm calling for a no vote, but I want an answer to this, what appears to be a very, very dark side of our government, rushing to a referendum before they have put the proper things in place, and to deny the Supreme Court the right to make an adjudication for a carer, a woman in the home looking after a Down syndrome autistic child. So I'll leave it at that this morning, and I will be looking for that amendment.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
And before I call on the next speaker, can I welcome the girl guides from Ballybay, County Monaghan, whom I met in the corridor earlier. You're all very welcome here this afternoon. Thank your leaders for being with you as well. And I hope you have a very enjoyable visit to Leinster House. Thank you very much indeed. And this,
Senator Craughwell has proposed a change to the order of business, as has been seconded by Senator Keoghan, regarding looking for Mr O'Brien to come in to explain his state of knowledge regarding the Supreme Court hearing. I think it would be reasonable to say that the government would have had well knowledge of this, because it has to go through the High Court before it goes to the Supreme Court. Nothing is jettisoned straight into from the Supreme Court or any lower court straight into the Supreme Court. Thank you. I think it's for me to say.
If you listened, I said it leapfrogged the Court of Appeal.
Senator Craughwell, Senator Craughwell, you had your opportunity to speak. The leaders were planning to debate.
No, but we've got to be accurate in what
Senator
we
Craughwell.
The matter was in the High Court.
Thank you.
The matter was in the High Court and had to go into the High Court. So it's not that it just suddenly appeared out of nowhere. It didn't. The matter was in the High Court and lost in the High Court, and it is now in the Supreme Court. And it is so that the government were unaware of it is a false accusation. There is no such thing that the government wouldn't be aware of it under any circumstances in this. So what level of knowledge? Of course they would have had a level of knowledge that there is a Supreme Court case. That said, that is the normal function of the Supreme Court within their remit. They do hear cases like this on a reasonably frequent basis. There are a number of things to that. First of all, it is unreasonable for us to discuss a particular case. The next thing is there were commitments made to advocacy groups for anything up to 20 years to bring forward a referendum to address wording in the Constitution.
This is going beyond. It's a simple question.
Senator Craughwell, you are a member of the House for a long time.
I am indeed.
You know the rules of the House better than anyone here.
Absolutely.
And you stretched them to your own advantage at times, and you.
Well, I think they're being stretched now by the
leader was replying. She didn't interrupt you when you were giving your presentation at the order of business. The leader is entitled to reply. You have an amendment to the order of business. If you're unhappy with the reply from the leader, it is your right to put the amendment to the order of business as you've proposed. If you don't, that's your choice. But please allow the leader to reply to your presentation and the
I'd
order
like
of
it to
business.
be sort of fairly accurate, you know.
You're accusing me of not being accurate.
Thank you.
That is grossly unfair.
Thank you.
And grossly wrong. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong.
I would ask you to withdraw that.
I appreciate that it may come in the way.
I would ask you to withdraw that.
Why would I withdraw it?
Because the leader is giving a reply to the. You can resume your seat, please.
Sorry, no, Catherine. On a point of order, my call for the minister to come here was to explain what knowledge he had when he set the date. That was it.
Okay, and the leader is giving you a response, and if you're not happy with the response...
The leader has told me they knew.
If you're not happy with the response, then it is your prerogative to propose an amendment to the order of business to request the minister to come to the House.
The acting leader just said they knew.
Thank you. Leader, without interruption, please.
The government would be aware of cases in the Supreme Court. They are obliged to know that. But so, as to Minister O'Brien, I can't say for absolute. I'm not authorised to do that. But it is a function of the Supreme Court is challenging. But the fact of the matter is about referendums. You have accused the government of a sinister intervention here. You used the word sinister, that it is sinister actions on the part of the government.
Thank you, Senator Craughwell.
You have accused it, and I've also followed your social media, you have accused it. The fact is the commitment to addressing the disparity of views, or the views around the Constitution, are matters that have been commitments of government for and in discussion with the Women's Caucus, with various other groups and NGOs for a very long time. A very long time. The fact is that the matter has been raised on numerous occasions, and there is a sequence of events. On many occasions in this House, I have heard you stand up and speak regarding councillors. There are local elections, as you know. There are potentially general election within the next 12 to 13 months. It's reasonable that a referendum would have been called, so I do have a difficulty with it being ascribed a conspiracy theory and a sinister. Do I respond to this stage saying I'm not accepting the amendment? Yeah, so I won't be accepting the amendment on the order of business.